Hello, hello. Welcome to my mini class series. My name is Millen Livis. I'm an empowerment mentor and wealth architect for women who want to become financially independent and make their money work for them. So I'm the girl to come to if you're really serious and ready to deal with your financial maybe insecurities and want to build secure and joyful financial future. So today I want to, in this mini class, I want to talk to you about a topic that is very important for many people in the United States and other countries. I'm referring to debt. And you will see in this mini class that it has different aspects that it's very important that you become aware of. And in today's class, I will share with you two types of debt. I will tell you what defines what kind of debt and how to handle it. And if you currently deal with debt situation that you're trying to pay off your debt, I will tell you what you need to focus on, what you need to pay attention to. And at the end of this mini class, I will give you some idea about your next steps, because I know that sometimes it's very important to feel that you're not alone. You have to do it yourself, but it doesn't mean that you have to do it alone. Okay, so again, we're going to talk about different kinds of debt, what defines each type of debt, and what would be my suggestions to you, and then next steps. That's the agenda for today, and let's begin. So last time in the mini class, 4 rules of financial freedom that I shared with you, I talked about one of the rules was owe less than you can afford. Obviously, it was I was referring to having debt that maybe more than you can pay off back, and people lose sleep over this, people lose health over this, and trust me, it's not only problem of low-income earners. A lot of high-income earners, people suffer from exactly the same problem. They over-leverage themselves. They borrow more than they, even with their income, they can afford, and then some of them really struggle with being over-leveraged. So, and that brings me to the first topic of today's mini class. What are 2 kinds of debt? So I want to tell you that ultimately debt is financial leverage. Basically, when you borrow money from someone else to achieve something that you would like to achieve now, however, you don't have resources for this at the moment. So leverage, financial leverage, is a very powerful tool for creating wealth, right? It can be a very powerful tool for creating wealth. It also can be a very dangerous tool that can, ruin your financial life and even your health. So that's why I like to say there are 2 types of debt: bad debt and good debt. So let me start with bad debt. Bad debt is a high interest debt that you can incur by, borrowing from the bank for, maybe something that you really want right now, and it's a very high interest loan. Okay, so bad debt is usually very high interest loan. Another example of bad debt would be when you're borrowing for buying, you're borrowing from financial institution to buy asset that decreases in value. For example, the example of this would be car loan. As soon as you buy the car, the value of the car goes down, especially if it's a new car. So, having a car loan is example of having bad debt. Another example would be sometimes companies suggest that you consolidate your existing debt, and then they charge you even high interest rate. Or another example of bad debt would be when you use your credit card to buy whatever you want to buy, and you carry over balances from one payment months to another. So obviously credit cards will charge you very high interest on this carried over balances. So that's another example of bad debt. So as I started this conversation by saying that financial leverage is a very powerful tool. It's a tool that made a lot of people wealthy, and made a lot of people to have level of life that they could not have at the moment. But it also could be dangerous tool. So let me give you a couple of personal examples. When we just when we came to the United States and we started our professional career, and we finally started getting very nice money, I felt that it's a good idea to go and enjoy myself doing shopping. I have not realized that I was basically using shopping therapy for something that was not satisfying inside me. I was just buying and then returning and then buying more. I had clothes and shoes that I didn't even wear. And guess what? I was using credit card. And at this time, I was carrying over balances. And that was a very, very important lesson for me when I realized that when I was paying off the balances on my credit cards, I was paying much more than what I actually spend on buying my purchases, because of the very high interest rate, and I didn't like it. So I had to develop a discipline to, if I use credit card, I only use the amount that I can pay in full, so I don't get in the position when I have to pay crazy amount of interest on the balances that I carry over. Another example from my personal life, when we were buying our first house, and that's example of the good debt. So let me maybe just tell you what is the good debt. The good debt is when you borrow money with a relatively low interest rate that will allow you to increase, to augment the asset that you borrowing this money for. It could be your business. If you have a profitable business, you borrowing money because you want to expand your business and make it even more profitable. Or if you in a position when you want to buy a house and you can pay it back, you can pay it off without really having sleepless nights. And sometimes it does require a little bit of stretch. And here's my personal example. When we were buying our first house, the house that we really liked was a little bit more expensive than we were comfortably planning to borrow. We could put the down payment, but it was very significant stretch for us to pay the mortgage payments. However, we were very motivated. We were young, we had good jobs, we were motivated to up-level our life. And we decided that we will take responsibility for this financial stretch, and we will improve the income, and we will be able to pay this mortgage, this monthly payments on the mortgage without the problem. So again, last time in a class about four rules for financial freedom, I mentioned that you always have 3 levers to manage your financial fitness, financial wellness. One is your income. The lever number 2 is budget or your spending pattern, and the lever number 3 is debt. So when you feel that you want to incur debt, like I gave you example about the mortgage, if you feel that you are willing to take this this risk, because debt is risk, because that is leverage, and every financial leverage has inherited risk in it. If you're willing to take this risk, make sure that you work on other levers, that you either decrease your spending or you increase your income, or both, right? So my point is that it's okay to take risk in life, but you have to be aware of what are your levers, what you can adjust in your current financial landscape, so you will be able to pay off this debt. Okay, so that's I was just sharing with you the example of the good debt, right? So the good debt, again, just to summarize, it's a low interest debt that allows you to increase your net worth, or you increase your financial wellness, financial well-being by temporarily borrowing some money from someone else or from financial institution, and improving your net worth. Was something that I wanted to mention, and it just slipped from my mind when I was talking about this. For example, let me tell you again, I'm talking about good debt right now, right? So example of another good debt would be, for example, buying a rental property, because you will, if you do it right, then you will receive income after the expenses that you have to pay, after the mortgage that you have to pay. You will receive the income if you buy it right, and usually as your rental property will go up in value over the years. Another good example of good loan would be if you want to have a profession that requires a license. Maybe it's being a psychologist or psychiatrist or medical doctor or lawyer, or whatever profession that requires license. If you need to invest in your education, that's definitely a good example of good loan, as long as it's not high interest loan, because this investment will allow you to make a good income, and you will be able to pay off this loan without a problem. However, I also know that a lot of colleges, for example, they offer very high interest rate on consolidating your student loans. So just be aware of this, okay? Just be aware every time when someone gives you money, gives you a loan, not money for free, but gives you loan. Quite often they don't do it for you, they do it to you. And here's why. Now I remember the point that I wanted to make, to share with you. Every loan that has interest in it has inherited compound interest. And compound interest, as Albert Einstein called it, seven wonder of the world, could be a very dangerous thing or could be a great thing. Great thing would be if you are the person who gives money and collect compound interest. But if you pay in compound interest to a financial institution, you are paying much more than the amount that you borrowed. So, and the same applies to credit cards. So that's why I want you to be aware of your interest when you borrow. Just make sure not only the fees that you will have to pay when you take the loan, but what is the compound interest, not just the annual interest, but the compound interest that you will pay overall at the end. And that's why I like when people borrow mortgages, that they have a clause that prepaying, that they don't get penalty for prepayment of the mortgages, because it's your situation can change, and if you can prepay your mortgage, that would be a great way for you to save a lot of money on compound interest. Okay, so what can you do? The third point that I wanted to share with you today was how can you manage the debt situations in a way that will help you not to get yourself in trouble, pretty much, right? So the first point that I want you to be aware of, be aware of your unmet needs, because as I shared with you at the beginning, I was not aware of my unmet needs. I was, doing shopping. I was buying, returning stuff that I didn't need because I was not aware of the unfulfilled needs, emotional, spiritual, mental needs that I had, that I was trying to satisfy or numb myself by doing shopping therapy. So as Karen McCall said in her book, Financial Recovery, you can never have enough of what you don't need. So that's the first mental point I would like to bring to your attention. Next is avoid bad debt. Just really, when you thinking about buying something, think is this a good investment? Okay, is this thing that I'm planning to borrow money for, will it increase my net worth? Will it make me feel more marketable in terms of my job or my business? Will it expand my opportunities? Okay, so, and obviously make sure that you ask yourself, can I afford it? Do I really need it? And can I afford it, right? So the next point that I want you to remember is if you can pay a credit card monthly payments in full, then fine, take advantage of credit card mileage opportunities that they offer. If you cannot, I suggest that you either pay cash or use your debit card, because it's so easy to overspend using this plastic card, because it's almost like you don't really realize that this credit card has some kind of very, very powerful aspect in terms of your freedom, right? So I don't want you to become slave of this credit card companies that offer you this credit card. How many cards I receive in the mail constantly inviting me to get a new card and a new card. It's easy for them to give you a card and then charge you this enormous interest rate on the balances that you carry over. So either credit card paying in full, or debit card, or cash, all right? So next one, I suggest that you don't lease the car, that you buy the car, and maybe buy a good used car, because a leased car is good when you can deduct this from your business. If you have a business and it's you can buy it from your business. But if you buy it for personal use, I do not recommend leased cars, because you overpaying. Prioritize your debt. If you have more than one debt that you have to pay back, make sure that you prioritize and pay the highest interest rate debt first. Remember, compound interest, okay? So make sure you have priority, what you have to pay back first, and then second and third. And the last very important point that I want to bring to your attention, a lot of people feel that when they have debt, they have to pay every penny that they have outside of the needed expenses, they have to pay back toward this debt. And my suggestion is that you actually find more balanced approach, that you pay back some amount, but you also accumulate your savings. Because if, God forbid, something happens in life and you need money now, and everything that you had went to paying off your debt, then you will have to incur more debt, right? So if you can find this balance when you pay off the debt, obviously that's important thing to do, since you borrowed money from someone. or some institution, but at the same time, make sure that you find a way to accumulate money toward your savings. That's very, very important. So this is very brief overview. Obviously, it's a mini class. It's a very brief overview of what I call debt rules of engagement, right? And I promise you that at the end of this mini class, I will mention what next steps you could take. So there are a few steps. You can buy a book, right? You can buy a book and see what maybe what suggestions. There are so many free courses and books on managing your debt and managing your finances. If that works for you, you know, go ahead and do that. I published my own book called A Shift Toward Abundance, Secrets to Financial Freedom. It's a simple book. You can find it on Amazon. That's one option, and that's probably least expensive option. Another one, if you feel that you need accountability, if you need someone who will help you to kind of motivate you, so you will move through your journey to becoming financially free. Trust me, it's possible. It's possible. If you want support, find a community, find maybe accountability partner, find someone you can trust, find someone who maybe walked in the shoes that you're in right now, who could help you to get out of the situation and start looking forward to creating your joyful and comfortable financial future in your retirement. And so, you know, if you have other coaches, I just want to tell you that it's a little bit more than money mindset, right? You need someone who could help you with practical money stuff, money management stuff, and maybe eventually investment stuff. So if you know this coach, please help yourself, because it's definitely worth your investment, because you're investing in yourself and in your future. Okay, if you want to work with me, contact me. Let's see what options I could offer you that would be appropriate for you at this time. And my thing is that no matter how many things you can learn online, there is nothing like personal touch, like personal connection. So if you feel that you would like to come maybe and work on your financial up leveling in person, I would love to invite you to my event in Provence. And again, this event is not for everybody. Okay, this event is for a particular group of women who feel that they know that they're done with all this feeling insecure about their financial future, feeling some kind of sense of unsettling about you know, what do they really want, and how they can feel more at ease and more excited about their life. This is for women who really ready to take responsibility for everything that happens in their lives, and they feel that they really ready to be financially empowered. Okay, because that's my passion. And this event is something that I was thinking for a long time, because it will offer, and you will practice time framework for living abundant life, framework for building wealth. Because I don't like to talk about budgets and pushing yourself and pushing through. You know, life should not be that hard. So I found a way, and I'm the one who used to push through the challenges. And I realized through my personal experiences and experiences of my clients that there is a way to create this framework, energetic framework, that will allow you whatever you need to do. You still need to be mindful about spending and borrowing and investing, but you will come from a place of joy, from a place of saying yes to yourself, from a place of being confident and competent. And that's what I want to share with you this event. It's a framework for building lasting wealth. I'm probably going to talk about this in the next mini class, but for today, just keep in mind that yes, you have 3 options. You can do it yourself, buy books, go on free calls, and if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, consider getting some support from coaches who you feel connected to and who teach what you need to learn. And the third support, maybe do some live events. You can come to my event, you can come to other events. There are other events that you could work on your financial fitness. And you know, that's what I would like to offer you to consider. Okay, so thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you again next week, the same day, Tuesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Have a wonderful week. Many blessings. Bye-bye.